Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie Haunting in Venice. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Haunting in Venice is the third Kenneth Branagh adaptation of an Agatha Christie story about Hercule Poirot. In this one, he is called out of basically retirement to go to a seance, disprove a psychic, and of course gets wrapped up in solving a murder. So, as far as what I liked about the movie, overall I thought the cast was great. I enjoy Kenneth Branagh as Poirot. I thought Tina Fey was fun in this, playing basically an Agatha Christie type character, who Agatha Christie wrote about as well. Michelle Yeoh I thought was really impressive in this, especially in the sort of possession scene. I'm not sure if they used like someone else's voice or if that was just her doing that, but that was like very impressive. There was some kind of audio kind of stuff going on there, but either way, impressive performance by her. I liked Kelly Reilly in this as well, and Riccardo Scamarcio as Vitale, his sort of assistant. I thought he was great too. I liked him. He had a very the guy who plays Al Swearingen kind of quality to him. I also really liked Jude Hill as Leopold, the little kid. I thought he did a good job. He had a lot to. They gave him a lot to do, but he pulled it off, I think, pretty well. It was enjoyable. I thought the cinematography in this is really well done. It's done by Haris Zembarlukas. He's done a bunch of stuff with Kenneth Branagh, like the last two Poirot movies. He also did the Meg 2, and he's working on Beetlejuice 2. There's a lot of cool overhead shots in this, and I enjoyed that. The score, I liked that as well. It was by a woman named Hildur Guðnadóttir. She did Tar, Women Talking, and Joker. And Chernobyl, and actually for Joker, she won the Oscar, the BAFTA, and the Golden Globe for Best Original Music, Best Original Score, making her the first woman to win all three of those. So awesome, good for her. Yeah, I really liked the score in this. I think it was a good get for them. The set design of this was very impressive. I assume a lot of it was just real buildings, but no, a lot of it was probably redone for the movie itself, I'm sure. So yeah, either way, it looked great. I liked a lot of the shots of Venice, especially there's that cool kind of last shot of Venice as the credits are playing. That was very impressive and great to look at. I didn't mind it at all. And there's a lot of cool like overhead shots and stuff too. Very like interesting, striking visuals. I appreciated them. Costumes. I thought all the costumes in this were really good as well. The movie takes place in the 40s, and pretty convincingly, you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. They all look like they're from the 40s, and yeah, cool suits and dresses and everything else. Like, yeah, I enjoyed them. I thought the humor in this was good, and it's kind of surprising. I didn't expect it to be quite as funny as it was, but there's quite a bit of humor, and a lot of it is sort of not exactly at Poirot's expense, but sort of he's funny, or the situation is funny because of him. There's one at the beginning where Vitale is like, your friend is here. He's like, I don't have friends. Just the way he said it was just, I don't know, it made me laugh. There's the again, Vitale does a funny thing where this guy's trying to talk to him, and he just like pushes the dude into the canal. The bird at some point, like the bird doesn't talk, and then I think when they find something, I don't remember, a dead body or something, the bird says like holy shit or something, like good stuff like that, funny stuff. There's a funny part in the seance too. I liked it. I thought overall the mystery was good. It was satisfying. It was fun to watch. For me, I enjoyed it because I was able to figure it out, but just like a few minutes, I guess, before they revealed it. Pretty much as soon as the guy was like, this honey tastes weird, it's not wildflowers, I was like, oh my god. And I was upset for not figuring it out sooner what had happened, but either way, I thought it was satisfying to me because it was just enough they gave you enough, and once they did reveal it, it's like, oh yeah, I should have known that. Looking back, all the clues were there. And that to me is very satisfying. And I liked the conclusion. I like the way that it kind of all ended and revealed. And this is a spoiler review, so I'm going to get into spoilers here. But the fact that it turns out it was actually the kid who was blackmailing her the whole time, or him the whole time, which I didn't expect. So crazy. Or no, he was blackmailing her. Either way, good movie. I enjoyed it. I like the conclusion. I like the stuff with the kid. Good stuff. First, what I disliked about it, I like the cinematography, but God, there are so many Dutch angles in this movie. I swear it felt like half of the movie was like Dutch angles, like tilted, like not straight, but just like a weird kind of tilt thing. Kenneth Branagh does it a lot. People make fun of him for it. He does it in Thor a lot too, which I think was maybe the same cinematographer. I don't remember. But it to me is funny. He was the same guy. It to the point it was almost distracting, where there's one angle where it was like I was waiting for it to go completely vertical at one point. Like I'm like, what? Okay, I get it. Like it's cool. Dutch angles can be very useful to kind of like create a sense of eeriness or a sense of unease and everything. But I feel like he definitely overdid it a little bit. But then again, maybe because I was so distracted by the Dutch angles, I wasn't able to solve the mystery a little bit sooner. I'm not sure. There's sort of a fight scene in here that was done very kind of shaky cam and a little too close, and I didn't love, which I feel like is a common complaint I have with movies. There's a part where Michelle Yeoh's character, I forget her name, she puts like a mask on Branagh and her like costume or whatever, and she just does it very quickly and smoothly, like she just does it all the time. I don't know. And B, like Poirot doesn't fight her at all. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna let someone put a mask on me and walk around, and then he like goes bobbing for apples and stuff, which I'm just like, okay. I mean, I don't know the character that well, but I'm just like, it seemed a little out of character for him. And I guess that's kind of the joke. Like, hey, you get to see this serious guy doing something kind of silly, but just, and I realized, for the plot, it made sense for it to happen. But I don't know. I didn't love it. You could have done it with somebody. I don't know either. I'm not a Poirot expert by any means, but for me, that just seemed a little goofy and out of place. I thought, hey, maybe that happened in the book, but no, I looked it up. I didn't read the book that it's based on, but there is a bobbing for apple scene, but it involves a young woman who is murdered, I believe. So yeah, and then I think the only other complaint I have from the movie is that it's not very scary. It's sort of being billed as like a horror movie or whatever, and it's not. I mean, there are some horror elements to it, and I appreciate there's not like jump scares or anything like that. But yeah, I would say it's more, if anything, it's more tragic or sad than it is scary. But yeah, there's definitely some scary elements to it. But not the kind of movie where I was, frightened or anything like that. Other than that, movie is directed by Kenneth Branagh. He's done a bunch of stuff, including the last two Poirot movies, Orient Express and Death on the Nile. He did Thor. He did Hamlet. He's done a bunch of stuff. It was written by Michael Green, who co-wrote Logan, Alien Covenant, Blade Runner 2049, and then the last two, Murder in the Orient Express and Death on the Nile as well. This movie was based on a book called Hallowe'en Party by Agatha Christie. I have not read the book, but I did read through a kind of synopsis. And from what I gather, there's not much in common with it other than it takes place on Halloween and there's like a seance and bobbing for apples and stuff. But other than that, they changed the story and the characters quite a bit. Movie has a $60 million budget, and it made 37 million opening weekend, 14 million domestic, and then like whatever the rest is, 24 million overseas, which is impressive for overseas, I think. It was only projected to make 12, so it did a little bit more than they expected. And Nile, the one before this, made 12.9 opening, so it did a little bit better than its predecessor. So I assume the movie's probably going to do fine financially. I didn't look up to see what Nile made, but I assume it made money or they wouldn't have made this movie. But it's going to need to make 120 million, but it's got a decent chance of doing that, so we'll see what happens, and I wouldn't mind getting more of these. Rotten Tomatoes on this one pretty good. Critics are at 79%, audience at 77%, so pretty close. A rare instance where the critics and the audience are pretty much in agreement here. And the movie obviously had a lot of similarities to Knives Out and Glass Onion, which are Rian Johnson's movies, which are very clearly inspired by these Agatha Christie stories. But it's funny for me because I didn't really love either of those. I just thought they were okay. And not as clever as they seem, whereas this one worked for me, and I'm not sure why. And there's even some similarities between this and Glass Onion, with like the one guy being allergic to pineapple, and this thing with the honey, kind of a similar way where someone tastes it and says like, oh, hey, But I don't know. For whatever reason, those movies are just okay to me, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun. So as far as score goes, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely worth seeing, and I look forward to seeing more movies from Kenneth Branagh about Hercule Poirot. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.